Never a dull moment in this market cycle, is there? Today, Pokemon came out with a press release acknowledging the extreme demand that Prismatic Evolutions has, that they're aware and understand what's going on. Today's video is going to be a bit raw. We're saving the editing for some upcoming videos. That's where all my attention was. I was in the middle of editing another video. Today's video will cover what this press release translates to, how it fits into the narrative, and other things that I've talked about in regard to historical print information, trends that we've seen with prior product, and where the future may be with Prismatic Evolutions. So if you're someone who is still feeling uncertain about this product, is having difficulty acquiring it, or is considering paying $150 for an ETB, this is the video for you. Number one, let's go over high level what the letter essentially said. So number one, it was an acknowledgement of the extreme high demand and limited availability of product. This is clear to Pokemon. For anyone, or if you are someone who thinks that we need to write letters and let Pokemon understand how frustrating of a situation this is, there is no more efficient way to communicate with a company than with your dollar. Your dollar is your voice when it comes to talking to a business. And what has been clearly communicated to Pokemon is that there is a demand for this product. From how quickly Prismatic Evolution sold out to now the even more quick sellout of Journey Together, Pokemon understands this loud and clear, that there is a demand. And historically, as outlined in the other videos that I've done here, Pokemon is great at meeting market demand. It's just not instant. It takes time. Pokemon is a $150 billion Goliath, the most successful media franchise in the history of the world. To expect them within a quarter, so it's been since August that this bull market started, to expect that within a quarter they would be able to pivot, upprint supply, get that put out, the number of logistics that go into play, the number of factors between the departments of finance, the resources, marketing, working with distributors, there's a lot at play. There are a lot of things that, whether it means that the printers have to be allocated away from other product onto this. That changes forecasting for those things. There are a lot of things to take into consideration. So we can't expect a cruise liner to be able to do a quick 90-degree turn, right? We need to think of this as a gigantic mammoth that's going to be slow to adjust, much like how we saw the change with the Scarlet and Violet print run, when it entered, that it had an increased pull rate as well as a high amount of supply, which ended up causing a domino effect of people not wanting to get involved with the Scarlet and Violet era and turning their attention back to Sword and Shield, where scarcity was becoming a factor. But that's the first part. So the number two, that the point that they surfaced, was that they are printing at maximum capacity. What does that translate to? That they're going to meet market demand. This is something that we've clearly outlined in our other videos as to how they've done it in the past, with going back to the 2017 boom with Roaring Skies, to Celebrations, to Vivid Voltage and Shining Fates, and the multiple print waves of Evolving Skies that they did, to meeting market demand for 151 and having it trend horizontal for over a year. There are so many instances of products moving horizontally, meaning that they were at a fair market value or hovering somewhere around MSRP, that it is the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, and Pokemon's past behavior is a clear demonstration that they will print to meet market demand, and they are good at not oversaturating products. Sometimes in the short term they do, and those are the points where, when we're going at our local convenience store, or if you're at your local game store and they had the 151 ETB for $55, $60, and you're like, no, I don't think I really. Well, there's no sense of urgency because it's in supply. There's no sense of urgency because it is not scarce, which is the next part, that there are new products coming in the future, and it was always part of the plan. This is something that was clearly outlined in my Prismatic Evolutions video. I'll have a link to all these things. So if you like price history, if you like indicators, if you like going over trends, those are the videos where I have all the cool effects and stuff. Today's video is very raw. This is the first video I've ever done where I'm just talking to a camera with a few bullet points in mind. So keeping all of that into consideration, I opened this video talking about release day is coming, the feelings that we may have around it. If you are someone who, number one, is feeling the FOMO, I get it. I totally get it. I love this hobby just like you do. I've been doing this my entire life. It is something that brings me the most happiness. And they say, the things that bring you the most joy can bring you the most frustration. They can be your greatest source of sorrow. And in this case, yeah, we can be feeling pretty sad come this Friday if you don't have any product in hand. But that's okay. And the reason it's okay is because time is on our side. And it is a matter of perspective and repositioning the situation that we're in. Right now, there are people, and you could find yourself on this side of the coin, that are over leveraging themselves. They are taking out credit card debt to buy $150 ETBs or buying cases because they feel this pressure that the price is going to keep going up, and that if they don't buy now, that they may never have the opportunity to get their hands on it again. We know from historical print runs that print runs are based around the trading card game. The trading card game has a 2 to 2.5 year cycle, depending on which set it is and the timing that it's being released within the TCG calendar. We have not even entered Prismatic Evolutions being in its standard print cycle, and Pokemon is acknowledging that they see the demand for this. We have had this happen before. We've had a press letter come out before for celebrations. We've seen what happened during the pandemic, and we saw what happened during the 2017 boom. Pokemon meets demand. We have communicated with our dollars that there is a demand, and they are going to meet us there. It just takes time. Remember, giant organization, slow to react. And hold on to this feeling. If you are someone right now coming Friday and you don't have product coming to your doorstep, or you try and go out to your local GameStop or Best Buy, and they're saying, I'm sorry, we're sold out. Don't manifest that frustration onto others in the community to say that their desire is more worthy or less worthy than yours, that they're not a true fan or true collector, or they're a scalper, or this person bought too many ETBs. We all love this. People who are getting involved in this, there's a group of people who want to scalp it. The truth of it is that where there is a dollar to be made, there's a dollar to be exploited. And we're in a point in the hobby where people want to try and get by where they can. We live in an era where we've seen Bitcoin come and rise to fame. We live in an era where we've seen people make tons of hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions possibly of dollars off of Pokemon cards. We've seen the rise of Google and tech companies, and we've seen the housing market boom and change. And we all just want to get ahead. We all just want to feel like we're getting a little piece of the pie, for things to be fair for our corner. And this is our space. We want to protect it. Some people have this mindset that this is my thing. Let me have my corner of the world where this was my piece. This was my thing, and now you are coming from the outside and don't have a genuine interest in it, and now you are taking it from me. And it can feel like a zero-sum game, where if someone is getting something, that it comes at your expense. But that just requires a repositioning of perspective. And that in this type of time, where there is a lack of abundance, that there are ways to make poor choices that have us in a worse position in the future had we not acted on our impulse or our frustration. So going back to the idea of what when Friday comes around and what we might be feeling, it's okay to diversify your interest. It's okay to look at other products. And I understand right now it's a ghost town and there's scarcity. Pokemon historically has caught up. And maybe that just means right now you take those funds that you would have allocated towards Pokemon and you set those funds to the side. And if you hold on to this feeling right now where you're like, I wish I could get Prismatic at MSRP. I just wish I could get a fair shake. I get it. It's incredible, though, how time changes perspective. And the perception of something when it's been sitting on a shelf for how long? Look at Chilling Reign. Look at Fusion Strike. Look at Astral Radiance. Look at look at Paldea Evolved. Look at so many times we've had this conversation. And it is incredible that when something is not scarce, how we view it. And the truth is right now people are fearing themselves into getting Prismatic because they view it as their only opportunity, potentially their only opportunity to get it. And if you slow down a little bit, take the time, check out one of these videos that I've done where I have the graphs. I talk about print runs, release schedules, talk about when Pokemon's met demand, the crashes that have happened. Those are the things that we need to avoid as collectors. And people are trying to play in this and be a part of it in the long term. And for the people who play the TCG and want your Badoos, I'm sorry. I feel for you. Hopefully it'll be easy to get, right? Hopefully the Badoos will be easy to get while people are cracking all their packs looking for their special illustrations. You can get your Badoos, hopefully, right? So I don't think there's too much else to say around this right now, other than Friday's going to come. And there are going to be uploads of people with ETBs and Pokemon Center things. There's going to be a billion posts to eBay and your local trade groups. And I know that feeling. Scalper. I just wanted that product. Look at, you didn't even want it. You're selling it. There may be people who are in financially difficult positions. And who's to say that the idea of taking a $60 purchase and being able to get ahead just a little bit to get that extra $140 in your pocket, because there's an opportunity and there's people who are willing to pay the price. We all are our own decision maker. We are all our own authority. That's what I was trying to do. And for someone in the short term, maybe it is worth it for them to pay $150 for an ETB. It's not the decision I would make, especially with the information that I've put in these other videos that show the price corrections that can happen and the price corrections that I feel confident that will happen. But in the short term, maybe for someone paying $150 for an ETB to get that early experience, that's the fun cost and reward and experience they want to have. And we shouldn't point fingers and make fun of those people either, because we all have different situations. We all have different experiences. And it's okay to take slices of this hobby and enjoy it differently. So just use the other 3 videos that we've done on print runs, forecasting, historical trends. Use that technical analysis to get the logical side of your brain locked in. But I get it that even when you have the logic, it can still sometimes be very difficult to bring yourself in and say, logically, I'm here, but emotionally and frustration and every other aspect around me this sucks. And I get it. But it's not forever. It's not forever. And if you truly are in the hobby and truly a part of this because you love it, you're going to stick through it. And we can say that we earned our stripes of being here. I know that sounds crazy, like we're going through something extremely difficult, but this is really a historical benchmark in the hobby. We are going to, for the rest of the time that people are interested in Pokemon and Pokemon markets and the technical analysis of price trends, Prismatic Evolutions will forever have its mark. And that is really cool that we are all getting to experience it. We'll get to reflect on it and look back at it. Evolutions had its place. Evolutions was a giant one. The saturation of that product, it was falling out of people's refrigerators. It was everywhere. It was a garbage product. I mean, I have coming up in a future video, there's an Elite Forum discussion about how Shining Legends has been so overprinted that it will never be able to financially recover. And that's a fun set to open, but don't invest in it. And just all the conversations around it, that's a different video. Time changes perspective on things. And right now, the time that we are in, it is putting a very short window as to what is going to happen with this product. Same thing with Journey Together. I have a very hot take that has a video coming up about what happens when people become over leveraged in a market, when things begin to shift, and how it can cause a collapse. There's a hot take in what I don't want to get too far into it. If you look at Roaring Skies, if you look at what happened with Roaring Skies, I think it humbles a lot of arguments as to just the power and capacity of the switch that Pokemon can do. This is their game, and I don't mean that just like their TCG game. This is their market. They created it. They created this scarcity. They played into this hand. They know how popular Eevee is. They made this the year of Eevee. They have the know and insight to see that the Moonbryon is the most expensive modern card. They've seen what happened with Evolving Skies. This is not their first time dabbling in Eevee and Evolutions. They knew the success of 151 and the power of the Kanto region, and they were able to meet market demand. There is no historical indicator to show that within a print cycle, within the standard print cycle of a card, we're not talking about after. 151's already had its horizontal movement. Evolving Skies had its horizontal movement. The sets that are out of print and are now in scarcity, they have had their horizontal movements where they were moving around a fair price. Some in their print cycle were more or less difficult to acquire, but they were not at such exorbitant prices that people were forever priced out within the 2.5 year window that they just were not able to acquire it. These things just take time. If we were to get the equivalent product to a Sea and Sky or a Blooming Waters collection product for Prismatic Evolutions, that wouldn't be until the end of 2026, like looking at 2027. And the adjusted release window for Prismatic Evolutions is 49 days, 50 days. It's 49 days for Crown Zenith. So Crown Zenith, 49 days. Prismatic Evolutions, 50 days if you omit the Sea and Sky collection. Remember the hype that was around Crown Zenith. Remember the amount of interest that there was. And remember the fatigue that was felt. I mean, I can't even begin to get my head around the idea that Prismatic Evolutions will have its moment, that it is sitting on a shelf and we're not throwing hands in the parking lot pushing over grandmas for it. But there exists a time, predictably, based off of what we've seen historically with print runs, that will happen. And then when that day comes, are you still going to have that feeling in your stomach when you see Prismatic Evolutions sitting on a shelf, that desire to reach for it? Now that it's no longer scarce, are you going to feel that sense of urgency to try and buy it? Or are you going to have the mindset, oh, it got overprinted. There's too much of it. There's too much Prismatic Evolutions. They ruined a good set. They overdid it. They knew people wanted it, but then they did too much. Is it possible you'll have that feeling? You might say today, no, I can never feel that way. I never feel that way. History shows people end up feeling that way. That when scarcity is no longer a factor, desire is diminished. There's no longer a demand for it. And it'll be interesting to see that play out. It'll be so interesting to see what happens. And if I'm wrong, I'll have to eat my words. And I'm only basing this opinion and this perspective based off of what we have seen in the past with print runs. What they did during the pandemic, what they did during the 2017 bull run. So when this Friday comes, please, let's remember that we're all people. We're not just text on a screen. We're not just faces on a video camera. Everyone's in this for their own reason. And hopefully in time, Pokemon will provide more clarity through posts and market updates and newsletters that things are not going to be so tight for the long term. So we'll see. So if you want to get more into the technicals of things, I have some very concise, well-edited videos I have linked below. You can also see them right here. Let me know in the comments whether you agree with me or if you just think this rant was way too much and you disagree. Either way, my name's Chris Casper. Please stay safe. Much love to you. I wish you all the luck on Friday, that you have all the product or none of the product that you want, whatever your heart desires. But until then, let me know. Keep me updated in the comments. Until then, stay safe. Much love. Peace. I'll see you then. Cheers.